Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kate Swan. If you are new here, I like to talk about luxury, fashion, handbags, shoes, all that type of stuff, and we have a fun little family here, so feel free to subscribe if you're into all of that. Also, I like to show a lot of things on my Instagram too. I'm quite active on Instagram, so if you want to follow me, I'll put my Instagram over here. This is actually where I got a lot of the questions for the Q&A. I did an Instagram story letting you guys know that I was going to be doing a Q&A and life update soon because it was requested by a couple people, which is pretty cool. And these are some of the questions that I got back. Also, I put it on the community page on YouTube, so if you're not seeing my community page posts, make sure to subscribe. Anyway, I'll go ahead and start getting into it because you guys asked me quite a few questions. I compiled them into a list of 10 because a lot of them were around the same type of topics, so I kind of grouped them together. Also, I have my Louis Vuitton Agenda GM here. I think it's the GM. Yeah, it's the GM. And this is definitely one of my best purchases of 2021. I recently did a video about it, well, about all of my best purchases, but this has absolutely been amazing. I use this every single day and I love it so much. Just in case you guys were thinking about getting one and you weren't sure if it was worth it, to me, I like to do a lot of planning, so it's been absolutely worth it. But I will just go ahead and get into the questions because this is not what you came here for. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, I recently moved. I moved about almost 2 months ago now. I moved from Arizona to California. A little background, I've lived in California before. I lived in LA for 3 years, from like 2017 to 2020. And yeah, I really liked it there, but then I ended up leaving because I started to not like it there quite as much. And I moved to Arizona because my grandparents live out there and I got to be close to them, which was really cool. Just kind of a change of environment, which ended up being really good considering the things that have happened in the last couple of years. And then now I'm back in California, but in a different part. So just a little bit of background for those of you that might be new or didn't know that I moved around a little bit, because a couple of the questions are about moving. So, but number one, it says, how does it feel to be back in Cali and do you miss Arizona? So I miss Arizona a little bit. I'm actually going back pretty soon to go and visit my grandparents, which will be nice, but it's interesting being back in California. It's like I'm in a different area, so it's somewhat a familiar feeling being back here, but it's also very different. I do miss Arizona because I miss like the weather there. I love how warm it was there. Like it's never cold. So here with it being cold in the mornings, I've been freezing. Now I'm starting to get used to it a lot more, but I do miss Arizona a little bit. Number two is, how are you enjoying LA and is that your boyfriend? So the first question, so I live in Orange County, which is a little bit different because it's like an hour away from LA. Last time I did live in LA, I lived in Burbank and then I lived in Marina del Rey, if you guys are familiar with the area, but now I live about an hour south of both of those places. So it's a little bit different. Being in Orange County is interesting because there's a lot of like, it's a bit of like an older population, so it's different than being in LA. But it's also really nice too because it feels a lot quieter. There's like less traffic here. It's really beautiful, and if you like haven't been over to this area, definitely recommend it if you're going on a trip or something like that. It's a lot less congested than being in LA, and it's a lot less like busy, if that makes sense. It's really calm here, really laid back, so it's somewhere that you can definitely just like chill out, go to the beach. It's super nice here. I really love it. Also, like LA has a lot more of a like club scene, bars, going out, like places to go day drinking, do all of that kind of stuff, which I really liked. But also like now with everything that's happened and not going out much, like that stuff doesn't matter as much anymore. So it is really nice being here where a lot of things to do are outdoors. There's a ton of hikes near me and it's really easy to get to the beach. So all of those things make me just really happy to be here, especially right now. I don't know, like I think that maybe at some point I would want to like spend some time in LA. Like we'll probably go and drive out there at some point and you know, maybe every couple weeks or so hang out there on the weekend, go to Hollywood and do all those kind of things. Like a lot of people in LA are there for a reason because they're looking to like, I don't know, be in like acting or modeling or things like that. And so everyone's always constantly asking you like, what do you do for a living? Like to see who your connections are and who you know, but like out here it's not like that. So I find that people are a little bit less nosy out here. I don't know, that's just my observation, but I really like it a lot so far. And yes, the second part of that question, yeah, Sunny and I moved here together, so it's really been an interesting experience because it's been definitely different than Arizona, where we lived separately. It's definitely been a change for me because as an adult I've never lived with anyone, so this is like a new experience for me. It's been really good so far though, so I was super nervous about it. I was like I felt like I was like panicking right before we came here, but I feel a lot better now and everything's been good. Okay, so the next question is, how is your job? How's your new job? How is it fully remote? Yeah, it's fully remote, so I'm really thankful for that because I started working actually while I was in Arizona. The week that we moved is the week that I started work. So that was super hectic, but I'm really grateful because now I can work from anywhere, which is awesome. Working from home has been a game changer for me. I love it so much. Like I don't want to go back to going into the office. Maybe I won't say like never because, you know, things change and you want different things eventually in life. But for now, I'm so happy being work from home. Like I love having a remote job. Like I can go and be around people if I want to, or go to like a WeWork type of thing, like go to a co-working space, or I can go work out of the clubhouse at my apartment and see people. So I can be around people if I want to, or if I just want to be in my room and work by myself, I can do that too. And I love it. And it just provides so much flexibility. Like I'm gonna go and visit my grandparents soon and I can stay with them and work, which is really cool. So it just makes things a lot easier not having to take time off for certain things where it's like, well, I'm okay with working, I just want to be somewhere else and work somewhere else. So that's been pretty cool. And how is it going as far as the actual job? And I think I'll kind of get into this in one of the next questions, because like I won't explain like background and everything like that because it's another question. So I'm gonna leave it at that it's been going well, and then I'll answer kind of more in depth in one of the next questions. All right, is your move long term and did you have to break your apartment lease? I did not break my apartment lease. It's honestly just because timing worked out really well. For those of you who have followed me for a long time, you know that I have no trouble breaking an apartment lease. And I have paid my way out of a couple leases where like you had to pay like a month and a half to get out of it, or 2 months. I tend to not stay places very long, and I understand why you're asking this question because historically speaking, that has been my move. But the timing just happened to work out really well for this one. So I didn't have to break my lease. I did move a month earlier than my lease was up, so I did have to end up paying the last month. Even though I wasn't there, but that's just how the timing worked out, and that was okay. I think that the move itself of like being in Orange County will be something that's long-term. This specific place where I'm living right now, I don't think will be super long-term. I really like it though, but we chose a place that was gonna be a lot less expensive than like what our actual budget was, because we were like, okay, let's go see if we like it first. I had just started a new job, and he had just started a new job as well, so like it's like, okay, well, we just want to be on like the safe side, see if we really like it there, like first time living together. So like I feel like we went like really safe on like budget wise, so we don't have like a super huge amount of space. So it would be nice to change that at some point. So I don't think that the actual specific place that we're living is going to be long term, but I think that the area that we live in will be. So I got a lot of questions that I kind of lumped into one. Questions like, how did you get into tech? And like learning coding and like what coding language, education and career background, and how long did it take to find a job in tech. So I'll kind of answer all of those as a bit of a story. So a bit of background on my education. So I went to Oakland University for biology, and I graduated in 2015. So like a while ago now. That's weird. I can't believe it's been that long since I graduated. That's so weird to me. But yeah, so I studied biology in college, and then I went into sales. I actually started working full-time when I was in my last year of college, and I started working full-time for a medical sales company, and I was doing cold calling. I like started off cold calling, and then by the time I left that company, I was the director of a manufacturing portion of the business. So I was doing sales for that portion of the business, and I had kind of moved up quite a bit. So after that, I continued working in sales. I worked for a debt relief company when I was living in LA, which was great. It was really fun, and I mean, it was a great way to make a bunch of money, so that was good. And then I worked for a payroll company when I got to Arizona. So after I left the payroll company, once the pandemic started, I was like, you know what, I want to change directions. I don't know if I want to do sales anymore. I kind of want to jump into something different. And a friend of mine had gone through a coding boot camp and gotten a job that she really liked. And I was like, okay, that sounds like something that I might want to do, but I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know. So my dad is a programmer and has been for the longest time. So I called him and I was like, do you think that getting into this is something that I might like? Should I like start looking into software development? Is that something that I might be like, you know, that might mesh with me? Like just knowing me all my life, do you think it's a good idea? And he's like, honestly, I think that you'll love it. You like to solve problems, and I tend to like really dedicate myself to things. So like learning new things is something where it's like I have a very addictive personality, so I will be like all in 100% on it. and he's like, that's going to help you move through it quickly. So I decided to go that route. I wasn't sure what I was going to do as far as like boot camp or all that stuff. So I started by taking a boot camp prep course. I took it through Hack Reactor. And normally how it goes is that you take the prep course and then I think you like apply for like actual boot camp, and you have to like pass a coding assessment that shows that you kind of understand the basically the topics of the prep course. And then you go through like another prep section before you go through the 3-month coding boot camp. So that's how their program works. But the prep course for the boot camp was $200, and you got they have a free version too. So the prep course was $200 because then you got like live meetings and things like that instead of just self-guided. So we got the live meetings, we got access to the like online courses, and then we also had a Discord. So that was really good, and we got to kind of communicate with each other, and it was like being in an actual class. So that was, I think that the prep course was like maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe it was less than that. Maybe it was like 2 or 3 weeks or something. But that's kind of how I got like my feet wet with everything, was I took the prep course. And for $200, I felt like that was a good deal, where I'm like, okay, I can get help if I need it. I can see if I like this without having a giant commitment. So if you're thinking about it, I would definitely recommend the Hack Reactor prep course. There's other prep courses too, so it doesn't have to specifically be that one. But if you're looking for like a specific suggestion, I'd suggest that one. And then I applied for a scholarship for Hack Reactor to go to the boot camp, because it's roughly, I think it's like $18,000. It's like a lot of money. And you can also do it in a way where you don't start paying until you get a job, but then you give a percentage of the money that you're making to the company. So for the next however many years. So I don't remember exactly how it's laid out, but you end up paying a lot more that way, especially if you get a good job. So I didn't think that that was worth it at all. And I was not really trying to just like give them 18 grand. Like I really wasn't. So I applied for a scholarship. I didn't get the scholarship. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to change directions a little bit. I decided to do a free like boot camp through the Odin Project. So the Odin Project is completely free. They have 2 different paths. So they have, first of all, fundamentals, and then once you do the fundamentals, you can break off into either Ruby on Rails or JavaScript. So I did the JavaScript path. So I learned a bunch about JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So I went through that, and I did that like a full-time job. I did it like 8 hours a day, sometimes 10 hours a day. I did it on the weekends, everything. I wasn't working at the time, so I could dedicate all this time to it. And I did that for 4 months. So I went through the whole thing, did it in 4 months, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to start looking for jobs. And I know that this is kind of a long answer to this question, but a lot of people ask it, so I figured I'd explain it kind of in detail. Of course, if you're not interested in that kind of stuff, just go ahead, just scoot ahead. It's fine. I'm going to answer some more questions too. But so then I started looking for a job. I put together my online portfolio and of my projects that I had done, because the Odin Project will have you do projects to make sure that you're like learning and you're really taking to these things and you're able to build something on your own. By the way, there's also a Discord for the Odin Project so that you can ask questions. You can see other people's like projects that they've built, and it's really, really helpful. So I did that, and then I also kept track of my like journey on Twitter, because I thought that that would be something that was cool. If you want to follow my tech Twitter page, I'll put it up here, because feel free. And then that way you can kind of scroll back and see the things that I've like gone through throughout the process if you want to. But yeah, so I worked on my portfolio, I redid my resume, and I started applying for jobs. The job application process took a while for me. I probably applied to about 400 jobs altogether, maybe like 500. I applied to a lot of jobs. I ended up interviewing with like 10 companies, and then I got the job with this company, and I was kind of in like the final stages of interview processes with other companies too. So it's not that it was like all rejection, it was that I kind of had to just choose. So I was in the final stages of interviews with other companies too. But this was the one that I liked the best and that I kind of like fell in love with from the beginning. So I was really lucky to get this one. So basically I am client facing, which is really cool, because the clients that I'm talking to are developers or they're owners of like startups or things like that. And I'm basically helping them get implemented with our product. So that's really cool, because I get to work with a ton of really awesome, smart people with great ideas. So it's been a great experience for me. And if you're thinking about going for it and getting into tech and you feel like nervous or worried about it, I think that you should just go ahead and do it. Just start learning. There's tons of free resources out there. If you have any questions for me, I don't know how much like I can actually help, but like if you want to DM me on Instagram, feel free. I'll try to answer any questions that I can based on my experience. But there's tons of YouTubers out there that talk like specifically about going into tech. But yeah, there's tons of resources out there if you're thinking about it, and I definitely recommend it. My biggest piece of advice is to just start learning as soon as you can. Okay, so finally on to the next question. Sorry, I know that part was long, but I wanted to give as much information as I could to the people that asked. But number 6 is, what or who drove you in the direction of fashion and luxury? And I actually thought a lot about this question when I wrote it down, because I was trying to think, and I think that I would probably say that I can remember like being a kid and like finding out what Chanel was or finding out what Louis Vuitton was and just being like super interested in it for some reason. And I think that probably might, I mean, nobody in my family is really into like luxury items and things like that, but my Nana was really into fashion. So I think maybe some of it is probably her. And then also my grandma, she's very into like having like quality items. She sews and she does all of these things. And so like, it's really nice to see like her looking at all these quality items. And so like I grew up with that. And I think that maybe that's part of it, but also I do remember like as a kid just being so intrigued by it. I remember like my mom would go to the hairdresser and her hairdresser would have like these Louis Vuitton bags, and I would just be staring at them and I thought they were so beautiful. And I don't know, like it's literally been as long as I can remember. And then my grandma used to take me to the mall all the time, and we would just go browse and we would go look at all the nice stores and everything. So probably I would say my grandparents, and also just I think it's just kind of like a natural like for it that I've had as long as I can remember. But I would say if I had to blame anybody, it'd be my grandmother's. Goals for your career, goals for YouTube, and tips about investing. So I'm going to start with the investing one because I don't have tips yet, but I hope that I will at some point, because right now I'm trying to learn as much as I can, which is really cool because now I feel like I'm getting to the point in my life where I'm like trying to be financially responsible and like doing all of those like adult things that I didn't really care about before. So I'm really trying to learn a lot about that, and honestly like Sunny knows a lot more about that than I do, so I've been learning a lot of things from him as well, and I think that that's pretty cool because I don't know, just being like responsible and like investing and learning about these type of things feels so like adult-y, and I like it, but I'm just getting into it, so I don't have tips yet, but maybe one day I will. Goals for career in YouTube. So career-wise, my goal, I want to be a sales engineer, and in order to do that, I don't actually like do coding in my job. I have to be able to like understand things, if that makes sense, but I don't do actual coding in my job, and so I would probably need a lot more experience with that, a lot more experience doing actual development in a job in order to become a sales engineer. That's my like goal within the next like 5 years, to be in a position like that. It doesn't have to be that specific title, but something similar to that. And it's not like super far off from something that I do now, but I do want to be more technical in the job that I have. But yeah, I really like working in tech, so I want to stay in tech, but I don't know. I guess I don't really know exactly like what my career goals are going to be, but I don't know. I want to just learn as much as I can and go as far as I can go. And I know that that sounds vague, but that's just how I feel. Goals for YouTube. So I want to start uploading more often. So right now I'm uploading every Sunday. I would like to add a second video a week every other week, and I think that that's where I'm going to start. I also have a goal for my blog. I'm building a blog site right now, and I have a lot of goals for that too, and that'll kind of go with the YouTube channel. So really just to make more content, make better content, learn more about editing, and kind of like dedicate myself as much as I can to putting out good content for people to watch, because I really love it and I don't see myself ever giving up YouTube. Would you ever move to the East Coast? Oh my gosh. So I almost moved to New York in 2018 or 2019. And I was going to transfer with the job that I was with in LA. I was going to transfer to their New York office and work out of New York, but I decided not to do it, and I don't know exactly. I went to New York to try it out for like a week, and honestly it rained the whole time, and like then I went to New York a couple weeks ago for my job, and like it was so cold. Like I don't think that I could do it anymore. I think then I would have been fine. I would have adapted to it and I would have been fine. But I love living on the West Coast, and I don't think I can do it now. I think I'm too used to the warm now. Okay, we only have 2 more questions left, so we're getting to the end. I know that this is a long video, but I wanted to answer everything that I could. So How do you prioritize expenses and afford luxury? Before, I was able to afford it because I had help from my family, and also I was just irresponsible with money. So that's not the best answer, the best way to be able to afford luxury, but it's what I was doing, and that's just who I was then. But now that I'm a little bit older, things have changed quite a bit. So now it's literally just because I have really low expenses and like solid income. I don't have a car. I don't need to have a car like with where I am right now. So also my place is priced very reasonably. So I really don't have very many expenses, to be honest. I like am able to save a lot of money and like actually spend on the things that I just want to buy because I want them, and that's pretty cool. And I eventually will have more expenses and I'll be in a different position, but for right now I'm just trying to enjoy it and be happy about the fact that like all of my money doesn't go to bills. So it's really nice to be able to do that and to still do the responsible things and be able to save and all of that stuff, but still be able to afford the things that I want to buy. Number 10, you seem very close to purse piece. How do you feel that this will affect your content moving forward? So I thought about this one too, and I also thought that I was pretty close to purse piece, I'm gonna be honest. And then now I think that I'm in a place where I feel like my collection for my like, I guess more expensive, like higher end pieces is at the point that I'm really happy with. Like I do have like a Birkin on my wish list, but if I were to get that, I would sell another like Hermes bag that I have. So with all of those bags, I feel like those are pretty set with where I want them to be. But there are bags that I want to try, like that are less expensive also. So it's like, okay, well, I can kind of play around with bags that I still want to try, like Fendi bags or like vintage Louis Vuitton bags, like things like that that I kind of want to go back to the ones that kind of got away, if that makes sense. Like I would love to get another Celine Nano because that was a bag that I always regretted selling. So there are still bags that I want to like check out and like buy and see if I like them and see if they work for me and see if they're going to be permanent. So I think that honestly it'll affect my content in a way where I'm going to be trying more things that are not just like Chanel, Hermes, or like super like, I don't know, like expensive bags. Things that are like luxury but still more affordable. And I think that that's kind of the direction of like what this year is going to be. Kind of me just like playing around and experimenting with other things that I might like. There are definitely brands out there that I haven't tried yet that I still want to, like Delvaux, for example. I would love to get a Delvaux bag, and like I want to experiment. I want to try it. If it doesn't work out, I can sell it. And I'm really in a place where I'm ready to experiment with different bags. So that's how I feel that it'll change my channel a little bit. I'll still be doing unboxings. I actually have some coming up. So it's not that I'm not going to be buying anything at all, it's that I'm going to be seeing like what else kind of fits into my collection. But the like larger priced pieces, I guess, are kind of like set for me. Like I think with like Chanel and Hermes, like I'm pretty good with where I am, and that might change. I might sell something to get something, but like the number of bags that I have in that like, I guess, higher end section are like pretty set for me right now. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've been talking forever. That is all of the questions. I was really excited to do this video, and I put a lot of thought into like being able to answer the questions in a way that is actually going to be helpful and give you the answers that you guys were looking for. So I hope that I did that, and I also really appreciate you guys submitting questions for me to answer because this has been really fun for me. I've been wanting to do a Q&A for a while, but I wasn't sure if anybody wanted to ask me anything, so I'm really grateful that you guys asked questions. Thank you so much. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this one. I upload every single Sunday, and I'm hoping to add some more videos in there too, like I said, so I should have some extra surprise ones coming up, and I have a lot of really good things planned. So hit the bell notification if you want to be notified when I upload, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!